Welcome back to TSP. I am Dr. Evil Genius,
And I am Captain Paul.
and we've got a pretty crazy story rocking the world of the NHL, shaking it to its foundations on on more than, you know, I don't know how you would say it, but in more than one way,
Mm,
this Evander Kane story.
it's wild.
Holy fucking shit. Now, as a person that pays attention to the New York Rangers and maybe the hatred for the New Jersey Devils and the New York Islanders, uh, I'm not going to be able to tell you a whole lot about what's going on with the San Jose Sharks. But my guy Captain Paul
Oh yeah.
knows a little bit more about Evander Kane as a player.
So this is a pretty damning report, or I should say, accusation made by his.
Well, before we
Well,
get into an accusation, though,
mhm.
before we go there, like let the viewers know who Evander Kane is and why this is so significant.
So Evander Kane is a professional hockey player for the San Jose Sharks. He plays left wing. Sometimes I think he plays the right wing as well, but occasionally, primarily, he's a left winger. He's one of the few African Americans in the National Hockey League, and he is a very good scorer. To a point where he has so much potential, people have thought he's underperformed, but he's always been a consistent mid 20s goal scorer. The occasional 30 goal season in there once in a while, but this past season he was, if he played a full season, if it was a regular 82 game season, he would have been like busted his career high in goals. He would have probably been mid 30s, maybe possible low 40s if he kept on his current pace. So Evander Kane this past season, with a lot of the drama surrounding him, uh, he did really fantastic. For what you probably don't know, they're evil is that this whole
Well, how many
issue
points did he score in this past season?
in this past season, it was just under a point per game. I actually have the numbers right here. In 56 games, he had 22 goals, 27 assists for 49 points with a -1 plus minus on a really on a San Jose Sharks team that's not great. They got rid of Joe Thornton, Pavelski. They brought Marlowe back, but a lot of their older core is either gone or should be retired, and it's just a whole revamp. They're going through a whole revamp in San Jose.
Right.
Martin Jones, the goaltender, was absolute dog shit this year. They have a promising goaltender in Anton Hill, and they've signed Reimer. So they look like things are on the up and up for San Jose. They have a few bright spots like Evander Kane, Hurdle, um, but offensively. But yeah, it's just they got to. It was a pretty rough team, and considering how bad that team is on paper and was last season, he had a fantastic season, especially in a very shortened COVID season.
Yeah,
Um,
and of course, we didn't really get a chance to see just how good these hockey teams are because they were stuck playing within their divisions for pretty much the entire season. So you
yeah,
never really got a chance to see who the actual best teams are, which, in my opinion, it does kind of take away from whoever is the Stanley Cup champions. In this case, it would be the Tampa Bay Lightning. You never
yep,
really got a chance to see who the actual best teams are because styles make matchups. And
yeah,
you never really got to see just how good a lot of these teams are because of the quarantine. So,
yep.
the allegations against Evander Kane are
Pretty
uh,
damning.
pretty damning. So we're gonna look at this little video package brought to us by the New York Post, and you will get a chance to see exactly the allegations that are being made and by whom the allegation is being made. Savage. NHL jumped on that shit immediately.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna have to.
Yeah, when you're talking about the integrity of the game, that's got to be hopped on. So this is what Evander Kane had to say. His lawyers are telling him to shut the fuck up. But I think that if you are Evander Kane in this situation, you kind of have no choice but to come out vehemently against these accusations, even if it's a situation where, your lawyers are telling you to shut the entire fuck up. So Evander Kane, who is a black man, okay, it's okay for you to say black, okay, Captain Paul's okay. He's a black man who is playing a sport that, if we're being real, the belief is it's reserved for white men. It's a game for white men.
Which
You
is
don't
not
see
how
too
it
many
should
black
be.
people on skates. You don't see too many black people up in the ski lifts. It's just, it's just not what we do. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not like we can't do it and do it well. There are a lot of athletic endeavors that black people excel at, even the stuff that I guess wasn't made for us. I mean, look at Tiger Woods, look at Serena Williams. You get a black person to understand and learn a sport, they will dominate. However, hockey is a sport where it's expected that the culture is going to be very Caucasian-y, okay? And so if you look at somebody like Evander Kane, who is a black man playing what is considered to be a white sport, not just by white people, but by other black people, and more specifically, black women. Okay. Evander Kane, and I can tell you from experience, Evander Kane is the kind of guy that, going through middle school, high school, college, before he made it to be a multimillionaire, he would not be black enough. I'm just going to just call it exactly what the fuck it is. He would not be black enough. And what you're seeing, and you're also kind of seeing this phenomena also in the NBA to a certain extent, where these young players who have not made it yet, they are being targeted by white women because the white women see that there is potential there. And they know that, if you're a high level black athlete, the chances of you making it is pretty good. And the chances of you providing the economic security that she's looking for is so high that she is willing to be disowned by her own Caucasian family to get with a black man of perceived high value. So what ends up happening when things aren't going quite right? She made some really crazy accusations that are not hockey related. Did you get a chance to see that,
Yeah, no,
Captain?
I've been keeping pretty close to the story right from the jump. There's actually a huge backstory with his gambling addiction and him owing millions to casinos that he actually
He got sued for it.
Yeah, he voided his contract with San Jose to avoid paying the casinos the last tenure of his contract. Like he voided his contract and they re-signed him, I believe, or it was a very interesting way. San Jose, actually, the Sharks organization helped him so he didn't have to pay those debtors the rest of his contract term, because I think it was an excessive amount of money. I think it would have been pretty much his whole contract would have been owed to the casino and the debtors, because he does what his wife is saying isn't verified, obviously, and it's pretty damning. And I don't know what's true and what's not, but Evander Kane definitely does have a gambling addiction. He has some type of gambling problems. But to put it on betting on the game like that, I don't know, man. That's taking it to a different step. You know what I mean? Like that's a whole different level.
I think there's a reason why she did what she did. For those that watched our Filthy Casual MMA Watch Party number 9 on Saturday, July 31, there was a conversation that I had with Mrs. Evil, who was right here to my right. And when the news actually came down that the NHL was going to investigate these claims, we talked about the non hockey side of it.
Mm,
And the allegations that his wife, or soon to be ex wife, estranged wife, whatever you want to call it, she was making some claims that are that go right to the stereotypes of black men. She claimed that he was over in Europe partying and spending money and going out to eat and doing whatever, while she was struggling with a very young child while pregnant. She claims that she had to sell her wedding ring in order to survive while he is somewhere in Europe partying the nights away.
mm.
Essentially saying that he is a deadbeat dad, which is something that is a stereotype that has been launched against black men for much of the last 40 or 50 years. So to make a claim like this, because most women are they don't really understand the nuances of professional sports because they don't care. They just care that you make money. I thought it was very interesting that she would talk about betting on the game, throwing games, because that's a scarlet letter that even if you are found innocent, it is the equivalent of saying that a man is an e-parist if you put e-par backwards.
Jesus.
Okay?
Well, just a quick. I want to make this quick correction because I
Shout
was
out
wrong.
to Donovan Sharp for that because we
I,
want to keep things clean. But
so
it's the equivalent of saying that you're an e-parist because even if you're found to be not guilty, if you're found to be innocent, you're still going to walk around with that scarlet letter.
well, I think for me personally, I want to make a quick correction. He didn't get his contract voided. That was actually something we're going to do, but the NHL I think was against it, so they didn't void his contract. So he still has his 7 year 49. I just checked up on Cap Friendly just to make sure I was correct on that. But essentially,
Right.
most of his contract would have gone to the debtors, but he's suing. It's a whole legal process. He
Right.
probably won't have to pay that.
Yeah, because the
Uh,
thing is, you can't just void a contract like that because the salary cap rules in the NHL are, it seems like it is the most strict
yeah,
of the North American sports. Like a lot of the deals that are being made not necessarily for how much you pay the players, but the cap number that is leveled against your team.
yeah, and then there's like LTIR, and there's a lot of different ways you can manipulate the cap, especially if a player is getting injured or just he's not as good as he used to be. You can make them potentially medically
Or
retire,
he's betting
but you
on your
still have to,
games.
or betting on your games. But so like the one thing with the NHL is all that money's guaranteed. It's not like the NFL, like all that money you sign for is a guaranteed contract.
Yeah.
If you have a one way.
Yeah, but
But
it's also guaranteed against the cap. Even if you retire,
yep,
there's going to be a number against the cap.
yep.
So,
There's actually a cap hit on guys like Roberto Luongo still for the Vancouver Canucks, and he retired like 3 years ago. So like
mm-hmm.
it's because there's actually ways teams were doing it before. Not to make this discussion, they were making such long contracts to circumvent the cap, and now they make you punish for that. Like, oh, you're going to sign him to a 10 year deal? No, no, no. You're paying that cap for that 10 year. You can't make him retire out and pay him out early.
Right.
Um, but getting back to this issue as a whole, I think Evander Kane, he's one of those figures in hockey. He's very polarizing. Not he'll say some stuff and then he gets into scraps. I actually don't mind it. I like Evander Kane because he's got a little bit of grit to his game. He's like kind of a shit
Even
talker.
as a forward, because
Yeah,
normally, the forwards are going to be protected by the enforcers who tend to be, third or fourth liners
yeah,
or defensemen. The goon, you get the goon squad, right? So,
exactly. And
if he's willing to defend his, he's willing to talk shit and drop gloves, I think he's going to get more respect.
it's because some people think he breaks the code, and at times he does. And I don't want to get into that discussion where he goes a little bit too far. Um,
Right, right, right,
but I think Evander Kane. I actually think I'm surprised he's only 29, and I say that
right.
because
Yeah, yeah, he's still in his
because
20s.
he must have been in the league when he was 18. Because I've watched him forever. He's still young. Because with hockey, you can be pretty successful to your late 30s if you stay in shape. Um, but when it comes to Evander Kane, the situation with his wife, I think it's classless to kind of air this out on social media, right? Like, as his wife, like you're putting this out there everywhere. Where like I looked at her profile before, she get like 3 to 10 likes maybe on something. Now, obviously, because of who her husband is, it's getting this massive traction, and she's getting all this support. Where we don't know what's true and we don't know what's not.
Right.
I'm not saying she's a liar, but I'm just saying she's not necessarily telling the truth because there's always two sides to a story.
Right.
Um,
Right. But
we
but do
don't.
you think but do you think that,
Go
because
ahead.
like I said, there are so many different facets to the story
Mm-hmm.
to address, but when you talk about a woman scorned, right? When you talk about a woman with an axe to grind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what like what the fuck happened to him? What the fuck happened to his relationship? What
Gambling.
lessons do you think that young men can learn about getting into these relationships? Because again, we're trying to help these young men
Mm-hmm.
and men in general become the best versions of themselves. And when you do that, you're going to come into a bit of money, and that money is going to draw the attention of some women, right? And if you're a black man, of course, we know that Captain Paul is not a black man because he is a ginger with a soul. Um,
Let's not go that far.
um, uh, you know what? What can young men do to ensure that they aren't in a situation where they're being taken to the cleaners by a casino on one end and a scorned woman on the other end?
So, and this is when it comes to relationships as a whole. You gotta have everything in a row. You gotta have your ducks in a row. You just do. A guy like that making that amount of money. Now, mind you, what he makes in the NHL, that's he's not making superstar money, but he's making star money. NHL out of all the leagues, you don't like. I think he's living lifestyle like he's like a Pro Bowl NFL player or like a All Star NBA point guard. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
he's
but they're
living
the
this.
lowest paying of the major four.
That exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like he's living this lavish lifestyle. No, my 50 million is nothing to sneeze at. But some of these guys make that in 2 years in the NBA. He's making that over like a 7 year period,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, I think there are a couple of NBA players that make almost 49 million, over 40 million in one season.
Exactly. So
I mean, if you look at Trevor Bauer, I mean, the
yeah.
AAV
Mm.
was 40 million.
Well, and that's the thing is like with guys like that, he needs to spend his money more wisely. Now, I don't know the nature of the relationship. It seemed before all of this, it seemed well enough. But what's the one thing that causes fights in a relationship, right?
Money.
Money. And I can't like listen. I understand that we're here to build up men, but we got to also hold them accountable here.
Yes,
As a man,
sir.
as a man,
That's how we
you're
build up men, by holding men
that
accountable.
as a man, you're spending that amount of money, right? Stupidly at a casino, and it's because he's got an addiction. He needs help, but you're spending money. You're putting like your phone pictures of money on Instagram, like, oh yeah, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, acting like you're Floyd Money Mayweather, where you know you're just not.
You're just not.
You're living this fake lifestyle, like bro,
In
like
30 minutes, Mayweather can make 8 times what he makes in a 7 year period in 30 minutes.
let's keep it real. In one fight, he makes more than he probably will make in his whole career.
Yes.
That just keep it real, and
Yes.
it is what it is. But I think with a guy like that, man, he didn't have his ducks in a row, and he's out there gambling, fucking around. Like as though I can understand the frustration as a wife. Do I think it was classes of her to air that on social media? But I think at some point, to be fair to her, it's like, yo, like what the fuck? Like this dude's in Europe partying and shit. I have a kid. I'm pregnant. I'm gonna have another kid coming along, and like he's brought us in debt and shit. Our house is getting foreclosed. I'm not excusing the behavior. I'm just saying I can kind of understand from her standpoint. It's like, yo, like what the fuck? Like
Well,
what is this bullshit?
well, I am going to excuse her behavior.
Mm,
Okay. Mrs. Evil made a good point on Filthy Casual number 9.
mm,
This is a pregnant woman we're talking about.
Oh yeah,
Okay? Hormones are going all every which way.
that's true.
And we need to let these men know, and you need to understand this men. When you get into a committed relationship with a woman, she is there 99 times out of 100. She is there because of the resources that she can have access to that you earn.
Mm,
And you need to understand that going in.
mm,
And if you put those resources in jeopardy, you're going to find out just how disloyal women are naturally, just how hypergamous women are naturally. If you put her security in jeopardy, all bets are off. And when you are a black man who is married to a white woman, yes, I'm going to say it, she has even less incentive to be loyal to you because there is no legacy of hers for her to protect there. There's nothing to try to protect as far as his image because as far as she's concerned, he's an outsider. The only reason why she was going to sacrifice her racial purity is because the dude was talented enough to garner contracts making up to and then beyond $10 million dollars a year, including whatever endorsement deals that he may get.
right.
So, men out there, you got to understand something. If you want, one of these women that you deem to be, the top of the top as far as attractiveness, and, if you think that there's a racial component to that, that's your motherfucking business. But understand something, especially for the black men, but this still applies to other men as well. When you fuck up with your money, you're asking her to be disloyal. You're asking for her to air your shit out to the world, even to put a little bit of hyperbolous mustard on it. And in the
Mm.
case of Evander Kane, yes, does he have a gambling problem? I'm pretty sure there's a casino in Las Vegas that can attest to that in the affirmative.
Yep.
However, you don't think that as a white woman who probably knows a little bit about hockey or professional sports in general, that fucking up with betting on your own team can get
Oh
someone
yeah, yeah.
banned from
100%.
all professional
Oh,
sports?
bro, no, it was definitely the ultimate petty move. Like you say, all right, yo, you gonna make me deal with all this shit. Well, guess what? I'm gonna get you banned for life. Um, it's gonna have to take a lot to be proven that they're gonna pull receipts. She's gonna have the receipts to pull up because of it. Unless he's an idiot, he's not gonna implicate himself, right? Like,
Or unless he's an idiot and
yeah,
he divulges that information to her.
yeah. So like, I think when it comes down to it, um, he just mishandled the bag in a lot of ways, and this was actually one of the big fears. I'm not blaming this for the NHL creating a team in Las Vegas because humans
I'm going to
should
blame
be
him.
able to control their own actions. But people worried about this, man, because
Yep.
there was issues of like even with like the Phoenix and stuff like that, and they had teams in California. Like they would go, some people would drive a couple hours just to go to a casino, right? Because competitive, like athletes have that competitive drive, and sometimes that goes into gambling. Like the stories of Michael Jordan, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
a notorious gambler, had many issues with it. Even some conspiracy theories around why he retired at one point.
Yep.
But I think as a whole with him, he just needs to he needs a handler. Be like, yo, like, listen, you can't be disappearing from us. You can't be fucking going away. I don't know what you're doing. I'll say this, and I mean this as a hockey fan, as somebody who's watched him since he was in Atlanta. That's the thing. He was drafted by the Atlanta Thrashers, that the team that no longer exists and moved to Winnipeg. So I know this guy's career pretty well. If he spent as much money, if he spent as much time as he did in the casinos, um, as he did training, he'd be a superstar because he has all the physical gifts to be a superstar in the NHL. He's big, he's strong, he has a nasty shot, he's got good puck handling skills, he's got above average vision, and he could be a bona fide sniper. Like it kind of makes sense that he has some of these type of issues because he has all those those tools, right? Those tools, like those. He's like that 5-tool player that that people talk about in baseball. He has all those attributes, and it's just he's never been able to kind of reach that high level. I'm not saying he's a star, but I think he could still be a superstar if he gets his mental right and he gets his priorities straight, because that dude has skills for days. That guy is a bona fide fucking stud on the ice, especially when he's in his game and his head is clear. Bro, I've seen him absolutely dominate games because he's 6'1", 6'2", 200 pounds, all muscle. It's just he's a fucking bull out there at times, man. And it's a shame because I think, like I said, he put as much effort as he did gambling into his off ice training. Like you'd be talking like him, maybe not at the same stratosphere, but like a notch below, like Sidney Crosby, maybe Ovechkin, Bergeron, like just a notch below that, like a guy that is known as a bona fide stud.
Well, I believe that if he put that extra time into his family, he wouldn't have his wife narking on him,
Yep, true.
invoking the name of Gary Bettman. So, you viewers out there, we want to know what you think about this entire situation, about betting on, just betting in general, gambling, the rise of professional sports teams embracing Vegas, the racial or the interracial dynamics between high value men and the women that want to be with these men. We want to know what your opinions are. And until next time, we'll catch you in the next video.